I think, at least for 3 seasons, would be more than an adequate everyday carry gun. Hello everyone and welcome back to AmmoMart.com, where you can find real firepower online. In a previous video, we briefly discussed the history of the 5.7x28mm caliber. If we stay according to our normal blueprint, normally what we would do after that is talk about that caliber and weapon systems related to everyday carry. I'm not sure that everyday carry in the 5.7 caliber leaps to people's minds as an obvious choice, and there's a couple of basic reasons for this, but I wouldn't rule it out completely. Let me grab one of the 5.7 pistols and I'll tell you what I mean. This is the FN 5.7 pistol. It's been on the market more than a dozen years, and despite its overall footprint, what I'm going to do is release the slide here. Make sure, of course, we had an empty gun. It's somewhat large for most people's taste related to everyday carry. I will tell you this though, it is extremely light. Most of the components of the gun, except for obviously the ones that need to be metal, are, but there's a lot of plastic and it's very light. I also find the back here, the grip, to be more thinnish than thick, and I think, at least for 3 seasons, would be more than an adequate everyday carry gun. You'll just have to spend a little bit of time getting used to the extra barrel length. One of your other options in the 5.7 caliber is the Ruger 5.7. In my opinion, and I've never put a tape measure on it, it is slightly larger and a little bit heavier. However, the Ruger does have, in my opinion, a superior trigger, but both are quite adequate as far as all of that goes. Very, very accurate guns, both versions, at any sort of handgun range. A little bit larger, but they are light, and nobody produces this gun in a subcompact, compact, or micro version, which is odd to me because it actually shoots less recoil than the 9mm, and I would think at some point manufacturers would get around to that. One of the other factors to consider is 20-round magazines. That's a lot of firepower, and the ammunition, because it's a lighter weight, 40 grains for most 5.7 caliber rounds, it's going to be significantly lighter than even a Glock 19 with a full magazine. So big-ish in size, but actually would carry quite well. I don't want to speak for him, but I'd heard a lot of things on social media about even a guy like Tim Kennedy has converted to the 5.7 caliber for his everyday carry pistol. Don't take my word for it. I haven't researched that completely, but that kind of speaks to itself about what the capabilities of the pistol and the caliber are in well-trained hands. Also, one other thing to consider about everyday carry, it's not the gun, it's the holster, the belt, and the overall system that leads you to success and comfort in being able to carry the gun every day. Selecting the weapon is only part of it, and in my humble opinion, this should not be ruled out for an everyday carry gun, at least for 3 seasons. I myself am a huge red dot optic fan. You can actually now get the FN 5.7 pistol fitted with a red dot. Prior to recent history, that wasn't the case. In my opinion, making it a little bit on the downside to carry that gun. Now you can actually get one with a dot. While we go forward, we need to talk about some inherently positive characteristics of the caliber related to your everyday carry choices. One of the great characteristics inherent in this caliber is when it touches ballistic gel, it has a very, very high tendency to tumble, creating a larger wound channel. And for people that are interested in carrying the gun every day, perhaps, one of the things you have to keep in mind as a positive is it doesn't travel near as far as a 9mm, roughly half the distance on a missed shot. Now, it still will carry a great distance, up to 800 yards, but a 9mm round has been known to travel a couple of thousand yards, so an obvious advantage, which could be very significantly important if you're in an urban area with a lot of congestion and cars and people. It doesn't travel as far. It also has a tendency to shatter once it hits something solid. So you could potentially be in a situation where you're going to do less damage on errant shots. But my advice, don't have any errant shots is probably a better strategy for that whole game. Some other good news about it is extremely flat shooting. Because of its speed and relative light weight, It doesn't have a lot of arc, so your point of aim and point of impact should stay relatively the same in most everyday carry shooting situations. So don't rule it out. Experiment with it if you can on one of your local ranges. Pick the gun up, see if it kind of works for you. It should not be ruled out as an everyday carry weapon. But one of the other negative aspects to the 5.7 is this. If you want to train with the round a lot, it's incredibly expensive and very difficult to find. 6 months ago, it was absolutely impossible to find at any store. Right now, they're coming back in, but the price is amazingly high. Almost $50 a box for 50 rounds. So maybe not a great choice if you need to train the round a lot, because it's going to get expensive.